everybody, to a very special episode of The Horror of It All. Today, we're celebrating Texas Chainsaw Day, August 18th. It is the date that horror fans everywhere honor one of the most legendary films ever made. And to mark the occasion, I'm beyond thrilled to be joined by someone who is right there, smack dab in the middle of it. She brought the character of Pam to life in the 1974 classic, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, delivering one of the most unforgettable moments in horror history with that now iconic meat hook scene. It is my absolute honor and privilege to welcome the one and only Teri Mcminn. How are you, Teri?
Hi, Rich. Good. How are you?
I am fantastic. It is amazing and wonderful, and such an honor to have you here with me. Um,
Thank you.
so I wanted to been wanting to do this for a while and get you on here. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the film, as most everybody is. So I just wanted to take some time to talk to you about it. And um, how did you first get involved with the film? Now, was it like a traditional audition, or did it happen in more of an unusual way?
A very unusual way. I was doing a play at St. Edward's University in Austin, and they had a great department run by a man named Ed Mangum. And I actually wasn't in school. I was waiting tables, and I had been at the Dallas Theater Center my first year out of high school on scholarship and was supposed to go to Trinity affiliated with it. And it was run by the great Paul Baker, who's known in the theater world. And when I was at the theater center, I kind of wanted to be in more plays, and they had you doing everything, costumes, lights, it was just all that. And I was really wanting to act more and get into lead roles, but they wouldn't let you, and it was all the stuff. So I thought, well, I'm going to move to Austin, and I'm going to go to the University of Texas,
Okay.
and they'll let me,
Hmm.
be on stage,
Sure.
and I'll get roles, and that's what I want, And I got to Austin, and I went to sign up at the drama department, and they wouldn't accept my completely 40 credit hours that I had worked from 7 in the morning, 8, 9 in the morning until 5, and then come back to do the show till 11. You know, uh, I mean, it was a rigorous, program at the Dallas Theater Center.
Oh, wow.
And I'd worked my butt off. So they refused to accept and I found out the reason was because the guy that headed the department at the UT hated Paul Baker, the guy from Trinity. And so that's why he wouldn't accept them. So I went into social studies for a while
Oh,
and
wow.
was lost. And then finally, a guy that I was dating took me to see a play, and he knew where to take me. It was great, and he took me to the Mary Moody Northern Theater, and I thought, oh my God, I've got to get here. I've got to do this. So
Sure.
I auditioned, and my first role for them was I was a hooker. It was with Jonathan Harris, the guy from My Favorite Martian or
Oh,
something,
wow.
And so, yeah, they brought in LA people. That was the draw for me. And so, anyway, I auditioned, and my job was as a prostitute who turns tricks in a cemetery. And what they had me do, because it was a theater in the round and there were 4 entrances, and I had a motorcycle, and they had me drive my motorcycle up to the door of the stage and rev the engine and then walk in, take off my helmet, and sit down. Sexy little girl doing her thing. And so anyway, I was in another play then with Frank Sutton, and my picture was in the paper. And I came in for rehearsals one day. It was in June of '73, and the Ed Mangum, the director, said, Teri, I got a message for you. These guys are doing a movie here, and they want you to audition for it. I said, well, how do they know about me? And he said, well, they saw your picture in the paper. I was like, oh, okay, you know. And so I said, well, what is the movie? They said, well, it's a horror movie. And I went, oh, okay. So I went to the first audition, and I didn't want to go at all. But a friend of mine was talking to me, and he said, Terry, what else are you doing? Come on, it's Austin, you know? Go and
Sure.
go and see what it is. But you're always worried. I didn't have an agent or anything, so I went and I read for them, and I didn't know how I did. And it turns out, I'll tell you who was there later. But anyway, I went home and I thought, I don't know. And my friend called me and he said, well, what happened? You know, and I said, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. It's like, I can't even wrap my brain around it, you know. And he said, Terry, call him back and tell him you want the role. And I said, okay, all right. All right. So I called him back and I said, hey, and it was Kim that I called back. And he said, well, hi. And I said, you know, I'd really like to do your film. Blah, 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 blah. He said, okay. He said, well, he said, wear some short shorts, come tonight for an audition at the same place. And then, but anyway, wear some short shorts, come around 7:30. So I thought, huh, short shorts.
The shorts were essential, apparently.
You know, but I mean, I do wear short shorts. I was young,
Yeah.
I was thin, you know, I was, you know. And so I picked out my white ones with the embroider going up the side and a little peachy pink shrink top that, you know, matched the flowers and put on my little sandals. And I rode my bicycle.
Oh,
And
wow.
they were about 12 blocks from me, you know, not quite a mile. And it was all kind of flat surface, you know,
Mhm.
because I lived right by UT and they were on 10th Street. So I'm basically going 12 blocks from 22nd to 10th Street in Rio Grande. Very historical streets.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I, you know, I read, and the next day they called me and they told me they'd like for me to do the role. So that's how I got it. And, you know, it was basically shooting in the day and I would be doing rehearsals at night, you know.
Right.
So, because I really loved stage and, you know, it was something I really had my teeth into, but I hadn't done any film. I, you know, not really done much at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so
Not,
theater seemed like it was where you initially wanted to go in towards, and this kind of fell into your lap. When you did come
it was
aboard,
home. It was home for me. You
right,
know, I was like, you know, it was I wanted to get into a theater company and be the base of that theater company. You know, that was why I was doing that at with you know Dallas Theater Center, but I just saw that it was going to take me like years to get to be doing more acting. And
right,
you know, when you're young, you feel everything is got to be done now.
yep,
Everything, you know. So anyway,
yeah.
that's
So
basically how it started. But then we had to bring in our costumes for them to choose from. So I brought in three different, the one I wore that day, and I'm so glad they didn't pick white like they did for Maryland because you know
right. So
I had to
when
keep those clean. So
when you
anyway, that's they chose the red ones, and I write a story. I wrote one on Instagram. People seem to really love my stories that I tell about back then, and you know, they can relate to the struggles I was having because I had been disowned by my parents 3 times.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah, I was a wild little hussy, but at any rate, I was kind of I had been taken back in they bought me a motorcycle the Christmas before. And so, that was why I had the motorcycle. They welcomed me back. And then, but the guy that Gunnar lived with, George, I write a story about how Gunnar and I met. Did you read that story?
I have not.
You need to
Yeah,
go and read all my
I'm gonna
stories.
have to.
They're on, if you just thumb through all the pictures, you're going to get about 10 or 15 stories.
That's amazing, and we'll share the link out at the end as well, so that way everybody can go
Yeah,
check this out as
Chainsaw
well.
Gal on Instagram.
Yeah, and I was gonna say
Pretty
there's even a Tumblr going around too of Pam
Yep.
Lives.
Yeah. I got on Tumblr about, I don't know, about 5-10 years ago or something. And even though I have to block a lot of people because there's a lot of,
Oh yeah,
really raunchy stuff on there, I can block them. And when I announced on Facebook that I had a Tumblr, because I kind of used to go there just to let off steam and,
sure.
there I express my political views. I don't really care who says what, I just block them, Whereas on Facebook, it was just too much trouble. I couldn't, So I quit running my personal page, but there are 15 or 20,000 pictures on there. And I keep 98% of it free to the public to just look at. But I refuse to answer PMs over there because people will.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah, here's one. Hey, what's up? You don't know who it is,
Right.
and and then people get your phone number. And last week I had a guy that called me 17 times on Tuesday, and on Wednesday he started it again. Even when I blocked him, I don't know who it is,
That's insane.
but he'd call every 3 minutes. He'd redial and redial and
I,
redial.
wow.
Yeah. So I'm done. I'm okay saying no.
Yeah,
You,
absolutely.
I'm not going to put up with that crap
No, yeah, and you
anymore.
shouldn't have to.
And so, and it was getting to where, with all the political stuff on Facebook, if I posted anything about being kind, people would, that
Right.
was just not going to happen.
You're not allowed
And
to
they
be
were
kind
going to
nowadays.
me at 73, turning 74, they were going to tell me what I was supposed to believe,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
which is so interesting that they think they can tell me.
yeah, you definitely shouldn't
It's,
have to deal with that.
yeah. So anyway, but then I got cast and we started. And when we started, I think it was around mid-July when we began,
And you're in
So it
Texas
was
in
in the
mid-July.
90s. It was hot.
Yeah, now so but when you did come aboard, what were your first impressions of Toby Hooper and Gunnar Hansen, the rest of the cast?
Well, Gunnar, you'll have to read the story, but Gunnar had been a roommate of my boyfriend's, and I did not know he was there. He did not know I was there. We had no clue, and I looked at anyway. It's just basically Kim called me on the first day when we're signing our contracts into this RV, no air conditioning RV, not top of the line, and there were red banquettes. And he said, "Teri, come in. I want you to meet Leatherface." So I, skipped on over and trotted down that aisle. And as I was getting closer, there was a large man with his back to me with curly brown hair, And I thought, wow, that is one big dude. Took up one whole seat. Gunnar weighed 100 pounds more at that time. He was. The reason he got the part is because he filled the doorway when they saw him and they went, okay, that's it. We found our Leatherface. So anyway, as I got down just even with him, he was as tall as I was standing up, sitting down and me standing. We were like eye to eye. And I looked over at him and he looked at me and I said, "What are you doing here?" Which he simultaneously said the exact same thing. And it was like, because he'd always leave me out of their plans to go out and drink beer and hunt chicks and smoke pot.
Oh, wow.
And so I didn't care for him at all. I mean, he was jealous of George though, because he was definitely wouldn't have minded dating. So,
Yeah.
and I wasn't. Well, I was mad about George. So anyway, that's how we got our start, and we had coffee and we talked it over, and and George had parted on bad terms because George, as he owed everyone, he owed Gunner money. And
Oh,
so,
wow.
welcome to the club, Gunner.
Right. Now, did
So
you have any?
anyway, huh?
I was going to say, ask, did you have any say in your war? Because I know you said you brought three outfits. Did you have any say in your wardrobe in the film or how you came across on screen?
Well, no, they picked that outfit completely. They said that's what you'll wear, and that's what I wore.
Right.
So, so I just didn't. The main thing that was bothering me was that the day that we got out to do that shot, and Daniel describes it beautifully, and then I reflect on when he wrote. I put what he wrote on my page. He didn't put what I wrote on his page, because bottom line is he came up with that shot when Toby was having all this trouble with the producers that morning in a meeting, and they were telling him that they were going to shoot by the storyboard, and that was what they were going to shoot, and they weren't going to shoot anything else, and they threatened him. And
Oh, wow.
so but I just posted it last week, so everybody can go and read it there.
Yeah. And
But
you're,
basically, he during that break, he told we were all waiting for Toby to come back from the meeting, and I knew that we were going to shoot outside in the swing and stuff. But when I walked out there, I noticed that Dottie was doing my makeup about 50 feet away. And I looked out of the corner of my eye as she was doing my makeup, and Dottie was Daniel's wife at that time. And I said, Dottie, what's Daniel doing crouched under the swing with his camera? Because I knew I was supposed to sit in this swing.
yeah.
And she said, I don't know. And then she walked away. And I'm very angry. I'm thinking to myself, what are they up to? Because we had shut down, and when we came back from being shut down, Toby told Kim to ask me if I would do a skinny dipping scene. I said, oh, you mean nude? And he said, yeah. And I said, oh, no. I said, my acting abilities will go right out the window. No, I'm not doing any nudity. I was like incredulous. I was incredulous.
And that's good.
So that put a stop to that. And my repayment was getting to run with Bill to the dry gulch in those sandals. So they paid me back really good for that one. But anyway, and so when I saw Daniel under the swing, crouched under the swing, kind of winking, looking through that camera, and I know that my butt is going to be about 12 inches above that, I said, no, no, Toby, I'm not going to sit in. And so we argued for, I don't know how long, but he'd had pretty much enough already, because they were doing this shot and it was against the will of the producers. And Daniel had come up with the whole thing, and Toby loved it and had set it up.
It was
And
definitely an iconic shot.
but nobody told me anything. There was nothing about the house looming and how he was going to follow me and what the whole concept was. Nobody bothered to tell Pam anything. And at that time in 1973, wearing short shorts and your cheeks out and all that, it was a lot. It
Right.
was a lot. So it's not like it got to be where everybody's tits everywhere, you know.
Right.
It's just tit exploitation
I've
all the way.
and me personally, I've always found like the idea of like nudity in horror movies, like it's not always necessary. Like, and if I think if there was nudity in this film, I think it would have been a little bit of a different kind of movie. Like it would have been a little bit more of an exploitation film.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, it's all come out lately, but for instance, remember a guy that directed Walking Tall, Tom McLaughlin or
Yeah,
something like that? That guy would have every woman that came in to audition for him take off her top. We were all warned about him. So that was I mean, I came from a time when women had no voices whatsoever.
right,
So being taken advantage of was a given. It was only a matter of when. So you had to be very cautious and protect yourself. And I
absolutely.
had no age. So that's what I was doing. And if they had sat me down and explained it to me, and Daniel completely understood because he had forgotten that didn't want to do the shot. And it was hell on me when I went to see the thing because of what we went through toward the end, because everything happened at the end that was very difficult for me.
Right. Now,
So, go ahead.
um, the one thing that I definitely want to talk about too is the meat hook scene. We got to talk about it because it's one of the most
Uh-huh.
famous moments in horror cinematic history. And I want to know, what was it like to actually film that? And like,
Well,
of course, at the
actually,
time,
when you read my stories,
okay,
you will see how how was the how did we get the meat hook shot?
yeah,
I
and
think is the name of the story.
okay,
And so tell it. I show pictures. I describe it in vivid detail, and that's where you're going to read about that. But that was basically we started at 9 in the morning and we were finished by lunch.
and it was
It was
a safe area, safe space, kind of, because like it just seems like it could have been a potentially
No,
dangerous
no,
moment.
that's why you need to read the story
Okay,
about how they did it,
and everybody
because I
can check
go
that out.
into the
Chainsaw Go.
exact detail.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I can repost it, but I put it on everywhere. I put it on. It's on Tumblr.
We will
So if you go through my Tumblr and you see a picture of Pam, click on it because you're probably going to get a story.
definitely gonna
You
have
know?
to look into that. Were there any moments
Yeah.
on the set that you thought, "Wow, this is really intense," or maybe even felt a little scared yourself personally?
Oh, well, I mean, they did have me fall into that room, the chicken room, through some uh, drapes, and to uh, to make it look realistic, so I'd have something to trip over. They put a galvanized bucket with a razor thin edge around it, and it was big. It was like a 4-gallon bucket. It wasn't tiny. And so every time, and he reshot it, like we practiced it 4 to 6 times, and then we shot it another 4 or 5 times.
Oh wow.
So my shin was pretty much done in, and that was the only time that something physically difficult, other than running all for hours in those sandals that were wooden sandals and quite uncomfortable.
I can only
And I had
imagine.
to run with Kirk, across the field. Remember
Yeah,
where he's waving the blanket? Well, that was like 2 to 4 hours shooting that in the hot sun. And those kind of things, kind of I mean, when we got to the bottom, I was ready to lay down, It
oh,
was,
I'm sure.
I'd had enough of the running. And and walking and running and this and that when they were shooting our scenes, but they looked good. And some of the outtakes are even better. I think I posted one of the outtakes
I do
today.
remember seeing that.
Yeah, I did a post about how I felt from 1974 until 2007, and then how I felt from 2008 till now.
Right. Now, when the movie
You'll
first
get a
came
good
out,
laugh. Mhm.
did you have any idea that it would turn into such a cult classic? And I know, you can't really, when you're making a film, you can't really determine if it's gonna
Oh,
be a hit.
as
But
as Andy Devine, who was a wonderful actor, he was Roy Rogers' sidekick Jingles. He was a star in Stagecoach, John Ford's famous movie Stagecoach. He was a stagecoach driver. He was a beloved man. And I was doing, after we wrapped, I got a, a stage show with him in Austin. And they wanted me to come back. They had finished filming with me, and I was dead broke because the last 6 weeks they paid us nothing. They first paid us. They paid me $700, and then I had to quit my waitressing job. And I supported myself. My parents hated the fact that I was acting. They like if I called home, it would get very quiet
oh wow,
and they wouldn't say a word. They supported nothing I did. If they could sabotage me, they would.
oh my
So
goodness,
it was very frustrating, you know.
I can imagine.
And anyway, I needed to find a job. As soon as they finished with me filming, I knew I had to get a job because I had had the waitressing gig for 2 years. I'd had great schedule, was making money, could support myself, paid for school, started some classes,
Yeah.
paid rent, bought food,
Hmm.
like people do. And then I called because I was doing Lizzie and the Rainmaker with Peter Breck, a guy from the Big Valley, big TV series way before you were born, and he wanted me to. After we closed in Austin at the Mary Moody Northern Theater, he wanted me to go with them uh, on the road and do a 6-week engagement. And I negotiated with the guy that was the dinner theater director, and I told him I wanted $600 a week. And this guy, I mean, minimum at that time was 170 or something 160,
Yeah. Wow.
And the guy agreed to pay me 600 a week. So I would have made $3,600, which today is about 15 grand, right?
Right.
So you can imagine how excited I was about that. And I called, and when I called, I said, "Hey, you won't believe it. And here I'd sweated in all those scenes and worked I couldn't even speak or turn over in bed. I had to cancel my show after I did those meat hook scenes, running from, not the meat hook, but running
Right.
from Gunner and fighting a man for my life, you know.
Right.
And I literally could not walk and I had no voice by the end of that day. So I was, I didn't ever talk about the fact that I was completely broke, but I was completely broke. And I couldn't ask my parents for any help. That was a dead end. And when I called, I said, "I'm so excited. I got this." And there was a silence on the phone.
Uh-huh.
They said, "Oh, well, you can't be released until we've finished. We might need a pickup shot."
Oh wow.
And I said, "Well, pick a day and let's do it, you know?
Yeah.
And we argued back and forth, and they finally said, "You signed a fucking contract, Teri." And so I was just mortified, brokenhearted.
Yeah.
I was, I needed to pay rent. I couldn't go to the grocery store. It was really not good. And I didn't tell them that.
Oh no,
But
of course not.
but I was so stunned by we appreciate all nothing. We're so happy for you. How can we work with you on this? Oh, you were so good in the film. We love you and we want to nothing. Nothing like that.
Now,
And I suddenly thought, wow, I must not have been very good in that thing, If
yeah.
this is the way that they talked to me, I was completely aghast. So when I got a short gig and I was trying to weigh whether I would just go and take the other gig, with Peter Breck and make all that money. And I got to the theater and I was tossing around, what should I do? What should I do? And Andy Devine looked at me and he said, Teri, that film will never come out of the fucking can.
Wow.
Well, now here's a guy who starred in 80 movies.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about I'm talking
Excuse
about
me.
a major star,
Hmm.
He's going on to his 80s, so of course his work is less now.
Yeah.
But he knew what he was talking about. He'd seen it. So no one thought it would come out of the can.
And here we are 50 years later, still
Right.
treasuring and loving this movie, and it is still inspiring filmmakers
Mm-hmm.
to make horror movies because it's one of the godfathers of the horror industry, really. I mean, yeah, there's horror movies beforehand, but
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the big ones. It really is. Now, like as we
Yeah, it was. But remember, it was banned for 10
yeah,
years across the world.
yeah.
You
And
know,
like I said,
so
here we are
there
50
were
years later.
there were. How old are you? I mean, when did you see this movie? When you were
Um
how old?
I was probably 10 at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and
So what that
I'm
would
I'm
have
almost
been?
50
What
now.
you were? What?
I'm almost 50 now.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I was about 10 when
So
I saw it.
so 20 years before you were born, you know, um, everything was completely different.
Yeah,
There was there was no cable. We watched 5, 6 channels. You know what I'm saying?
sure.
Um, the censoring, they wanted to get this PG. Well, that was not going to ever
No,
happen.
not at all.
No way. And so Marilyn, Bill, and I all took it off of our resumes for a period of time. I walked into a theater audition in Dallas and I had it on my resume. It was the only film on my resume. And the director looked at my resume and he got down to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And he said, what is that? That's how it was, it was controversial. It was controversial. And the people that really did well with it were all the tech guys.
Sure.
Because technically, everybody saw, wow, look at this guy's camera work. Oh man, they loved the soundtrack. They loved the directing. They loved all of this. But and when we were at MoMA, I told that story, and I stood up finally and I said, "But what about the girl in the red shorts?"
Oh,
So
that's
anyway,
great.
I didn't even know that it was coming out. I was serving drinks at a hot, you know, whatchamacallit bar in Greenville on Greenville Avenue in Dallas.
Yeah.
I had driven to move to Dallas on a rainy November night, broken in my Volkswagen van. I sold my motorcycle and, I I was taking some drinks up. It was just about to get busy, and it was one of those places where the lines would go around the corner,
Yeah.
on a Saturday. And I got up to the bar to place an order, and the bartender, Mike, said, "Hey, Teri, didn't you tell me you were in some horror movie last year?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." I mean, I couldn't even remember that I'd been in it.
Right.
And um, he said, "Yeah." He said, "I, it's out. You're in all the trailers." And I said, "Oh my, scotch and soda, double, can you get?" I was placing my order, and I said, "Mike, I'm the second lead. I'm not in all the trailers, kind of just between you and me." And he said, "Teri, you are in all of the trailers." And I barely was watching TV at the time because I was so busy trying to make money and, party and have fun and go to auditions and stuff. So anyway, I went home, and sure enough, I was on every trailer, and it
That's
was
amazing.
coming out. But they didn't, maybe they didn't know where I was. I don't know. I hadn't talked to them since the day that I came to do pickup shots, and they didn't even do any camera. It was all video. It was all audio.
Oh, wow.
And all they had me, this is what they had me say 100 times. "Let's go," and throw the tooth down. And that
Wow.
was what that day. So that shot that you see of me on the steps with my hand, head in my hands, looking forlorn, the uh, the young woman who was the assistant director and Toby's girlfriend walked by with her camera because she did all the still shots, and she knew what had happened.
Yeah.
She's a woman. She knew.
Right.
She said, "Teri, look over here." And I kind of turned my head with my hands stayed right there, because I was really about to cry. I was so upset. And she said, "Teri, look over here." And I looked over, and she clicked, shot it. So I never thought about that for, a long time. And when they asked me to come out in 2007, or 2000, well, they asked them both 2007 and 8. I ended up not coming out in 7.
Ah, okay.
But somebody said, "Hey, Teri, you're on Wikipedia." And I said, "What's Wikipedia?" I had no clue. And he said, um, "Well, Wikipedia, you know." And I said, "Oh, that's impossible," when I finally figured out what Wikipedia was. And I went, "Jesus, I am on Wikipedia. Damn, that's too much."
Right.
And somebody, because they knew that I didn't like me walking up to that house and my cheeks showing. That just bothered me. I'd said to the agent that was going to represent me, I said, "Why don't we just concentrate on the meat hook part? You know,
Right.
why don't we just concentrate on the in the room, in the chicken room?
Hmm.
Let's concentrate, but let's just kind of don't really put a lot." He said, "Teri, do you realize that scene is taught in directing classes across the world?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Have you watched your death scenes?" I said, "No." I said, "You mean on YouTube you haven't watched your death scenes?" And I said, "What's YouTube?"
Oh, wow.
So that was in 2008, the beginning, and I quickly was schooled. So I watched my scenes one time, and I got really paranoid because I thought, well, who can see that I'm watching? Can somebody see that I'm actually watching my own scenes? Because I thought how conceited and how
Right.
vile that, and
Sure.
then I finally asked someone. I said, because I watched him, watched it 3 or 4 times, and I thought, "Damn, girl, you weren't that bad," you know. You, and I press replay, and I go, "Jesus, Teri, you beating yourself up for long." Damn, girl. So
Well,
that
Teri,
was that
I,
was
I
funny.
I have to say, I mean, it has been like I'm wrapping up now. I
Hmm.
really, really thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Sharing your
I'll
incredible
see you.
memories.
So you can find me on Chainsaw Gal at on Instagram, or you can find me on Tumblr, and that's Sway with Me. Sway with me, sway with me, sway with me. But if you Google my name, you'll find it.
And I'm sure that everybody will, uh, especially, I mean, like I said, you are up there with the scream greats. And to all the listeners, thank you for tuning in to this special Texas Chainsaw Day episode of The Horror of It All. And until next time, stay spooky, everybody.